Okay, so imagine this. You're in Mumbai and the city's just bursting at the seams. They need housing, and they need it fast.
Yeah.
And it can't just be any housing, right? We're talking about affordable quality homes.
Of course.
Could repurposed shipping containers be like the unexpected hero
Interesting.
of India's megacity housing crisis? That's what we're diving deep into today.
Wow.
We're pulling insights from this article, bringing affordability back to the housing sector, the potential of factory-made container apartments
Okay.
in Tier 1 cities in India.
Fascinating concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, it's not just like a quirky architectural trend or anything like that. This is driven by a real need.
Right.
When you think about it, just the sheer scale of urbanization happening in India,
Oh, yeah.
the traditional ways we build just can't keep pace.
So we've got millions of people flocking to these cities.
Exactly.
Housing demand is just skyrocketing.
Absolutely.
Paint me a picture of how container apartments fit into all of this.
Okay.
What are the core advantages that have people so excited?
Well, first off, you're reclaiming these incredibly durable steel structures.
Okay.
Shipping container.
Mm-hmm.
They're readily available. They're far cheaper than sourcing new materials.
I see.
And they just lend themselves perfectly to prefabrication.
Now, prefabrication.
Yes.
That's where it gets really interesting, right?
Exactly.
This isn't like your grandpa's construction site.
Absolutely not.
We're talking about factory-controlled environments,
Yeah.
robotic welding, entire wall sections being pre-assembled.
Yeah, all of that.
This level of precision not only speeds up construction, it also minimizes waste.
So much less waste.
Huge shift from traditional brick-and-mortar methods.
For sure.
So speed is a big selling point,
Yeah,
especially when you're trying to house a rapidly growing population.
of course.
But is fast always good?
It's a good question.
Could rushing construction compromise quality, especially in a place like Mumbai that's prone to intense monsoons?
That's a valid concern for sure.
Yep.
And that's where rigorous quality control in the factory setting becomes essential. Plus, the inherent strength of these steel containers, you have to remember, these things were designed to withstand harsh sea voyages.
That's true.
So they're surprisingly robust.
Oh, yeah, like they've already been through boot camp,
Exactly.
ready to take on the challenges of a bustling city.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got cost effectiveness, we've got speed. What's the third advantage that has everybody buzzing about this?
Sustainability.
Okay.
This is a huge win for the environment. Reusing these containers, we're reducing the demand for new steel production,
Yeah.
which is a major carbon emitter. And then you can easily integrate features like solar panels, rainwater harvesting systems.
Oh, wow.
We're not just building houses, we're creating eco-conscious living spaces.
All right, so far, this is sounding really promising.
It is.
Before we get too carried away, let's look at how this global trend is playing out on the ground in India.
Okay.
Have container homes actually taken root in India?
They have, and it's exciting to see how Indian innovators are adapting this concept to their own unique context. There's a company called Container Addict in Gujarat.
Container Addict.
Yeah.
I love that name.
They're doing some really interesting work.
What are they doing differently?
Well, they're not just building individual homes, they're creating entire communities centered around shared spaces and green areas.
Nice.
They understand that housing goes beyond four walls,
Yeah.
It's about fostering a sense of belonging.
That's a really holistic approach.
It is.
I'm guessing with Gujarat's climate, they're having to get creative with keeping those metal boxes comfortable.
Oh, absolutely. They're pioneers in using a combination of traditional and modern techniques.
Like what?
Well, they've adapted reflective roofing techniques common in older Indian architecture
Oh, cool.
to deflect the harsh sun, and they're experimenting with locally sourced breathable insulation materials
Oh, wow.
like rice husk and coconut fiber.
So they're blending ancient wisdom with modern technology.
Exactly.
I like it. That sense of innovation seems to be a common thread in a lot of these projects.
It really is.
Down in Bengaluru, there's a company called ModSpace,
Lot space, yeah.
and they're pushing the boundaries of design,
They are.
using sleek cladding, integrating smart home technology, and even incorporating vertical gardens to create these beautiful, futuristic-looking container homes.
It's incredible.
Wow, high-tech and green is a combo I can get behind.
Yeah.
Are these just niche examples, though? Is there a broader movement towards container homes in India?
It's definitely gaining momentum, but like any disruptive innovation, there are hurdles to overcome.
Sure.
We need to look at the challenges, both practical and in terms of public perception, if we want to see container homes become a mainstream housing solution in India.
Okay, so let's dive into those challenges. What are the roadblocks that need to be addressed?
One of the biggest is the regulatory landscape. Building codes and zoning laws often aren't equipped to deal with this kind of construction.
Really?
Policymakers need to catch up and create clear guidelines for container home projects.
So it's not as simple as just plopping down a bunch of containers and calling it a day.
No.
There's red tape to navigate,
Oh, yeah.
and then there's public perception.
Right.
Some people view container homes as temporary or low quality.
Unfortunately, yeah.
We need to change that narrative and showcase the incredible potential of these homes to be stylish, durable, and perfectly suited for long-term living.
I agree.
So education and awareness are key.
For sure.
People need to see that container homes aren't just a quick fix. They can be thoughtfully designed and built to last.
Exactly.
And that brings us to the technical considerations.
Mm-hmm.
Things like insulation, ventilation, and structural integrity.
Mm-hmm.
These are critical in India's diverse climate. We can't just assume a one-size-fits-all approach will work.
No, definitely not.
Okay, so let's break those down when we're talking about making container homes livable in a place like India.
Yeah.
What specific challenges do we need to be thinking about?
Well, you've got regions with scorching summers, others with monsoon seasons.
Right.
A container home in Rajasthan needs to be designed very differently from one in Kerala.
Right? It's not just about picking a container, dropping it anywhere.
No.
So how are these Indian companies tackling these climate-specific challenges?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting, and that's what we'll dig into next. Yeah, India throws just about every climate challenge imaginable at you,
Oh, yeah.
from scorching desert heat to humid coastal conditions.
Absolutely.
So adapting container homes means thinking beyond that basic structure.
Okay, so let's break it down. Region by region, challenge by challenge. Where do we even start?
Let's take Rajasthan, for example. You've got intense solar radiation and temperatures that can soar well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, wow.
A standard metal container would quickly turn into an oven.
Yeah, that's where those reflective roofing techniques come in, right?
Exactly.
Like the ones Container Addict is using.
Yeah, drawing on traditional wisdom, they're incorporating those light-colored reflective surfaces on the roof,
Uh-huh.
which helps deflect a significant portion of the sun's heat.
Okay.
And it's not just about the exterior, they're also focusing on natural ventilation.
So I'm picturing strategically placed windows and maybe some clever architectural elements to create that airflow.
You got it. Things like wind scoops inspired by traditional Indian architecture can passively channel cool air into the home,
Nice.
reducing reliance on energy-guzzling air conditioning.
So it's a blend of ancient design principles and modern technology.
It is.
What about insulation? We can't just rely on reflective surfaces to keep things comfortable, right?
Definitely not. And this is where material innovation comes in. Container Addict is experimenting with locally sourced materials like rice husk and coconut fiber.
Wow.
These natural fibers not only provide excellent thermal insulation, but are also sustainable and readily available.
That's awesome. A win-win.
It is.
Okay, so we've tackled the desert heat. What about the other end of the spectrum?
Yeah.
Those humid coastal areas where moisture is the enemy.
Right.
What are the design considerations there?
Well, in places like Kerala, for example, you're battling humidity and heavy rainfall during monsoon season. Ventilation becomes even more crucial, and you have to think about moisture-resistant materials.
So no more rice husk and coconut fiber?
Not really.
What are the alternatives?
Think treated bamboo, which is naturally water-resistant and a sustainable resource.
Huh?
And for insulation companies like ModSpace are exploring breathable materials that allow moisture to escape while still providing thermal comfort.
Breathable insulation. That's fascinating.
It is.
It sounds like there's a lot of thought going into these regional adaptations.
There is.
But what about the bigger picture?
Yeah.
Are there any overarching challenges beyond the climate-specific ones that need to be addressed for container homes to truly thrive in India?
There are a few key things. One is scalability. Right now, we're mostly seeing these smaller scale projects. To make a real dent in the housing crisis, we need to figure out how to scale up production and construction.
That makes sense. We're talking about millions of housing units needed. So what needs to happen to make that leap from boutique projects to mass production?
Well, standardization is key right now. Each project is often custom designed, which is great for individuality, but it slows down the process. If we can develop standardized modules and components, it would streamline manufacturing and construction.
Like creating a Lego system for container homes.
Exactly.
That would certainly speed things up. What else?
Financing, that's another hurdle. Traditional banks are often hesitant to lend for container home projects.
Why is that?
Because they're seen as unconventional. We need more innovative financing models, maybe microloans or rent-to-own schemes,
Okay.
specifically tailored to this type of housing.
Right, because even if these homes are inherently more affordable,
Yeah,
accessing capital is crucial, especially for low-income families.
absolutely.
What about the role of the government? What can policymakers do to accelerate this movement?
Supportive policies are essential.
Like what?
Things like streamlined building, permits tax incentives for developers who incorporate container homes into their projects, and investment in skills training for container construction. These are all things that can make a huge difference.
It sounds like a collaborative effort is needed.
It does.
From innovators and entrepreneurs to policymakers and financial institutions, everyone needs to be on board to make this vision a reality.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the potential social impact. Container homes could be a game changer, not just for urban housing, but also for rural communities, disaster relief efforts,
Wow.
even temporary housing for migrant workers.
That's a really compelling point. It's about expanding our thinking beyond just the urban housing crisis.
Yes.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
what are some key takeaways about how container homes are being adapted to the Indian context?
Well, I think we're seeing a remarkable blend of tradition and innovation. Indian companies are taking this global trend and weaving in local knowledge materials and design principles to create homes that are not only functional and sustainable, but also culturally resonant.
It's about finding solutions that are both global and hyperlocal. And it seems like there's a real spirit of collaboration, a sense that everyone involved, from architects to policymakers to residents, is excited to be part of this movement.
Exactly. And it's not just about building homes, it's about building communities and a more sustainable future.
So we talked about all these challenges, right?
Yeah.
The adaptations,
Yeah.
the sheer ingenuity going into making container homes work in India.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the people actually living in these homes? Are these just like blueprints and prototypes, or are there like container communities
Right.
already thriving?
There are, and it's really inspiring to see the impact they're having. One project that really stands out is in Ahmedabad. It's run by a nonprofit called SOF.
Soft.
Yeah, and they've created this vibrant community of container homes for families who were displaced by a slum redevelopment project.
So not just providing shelter, but rebuilding a sense of community
Exactly.
that was disrupted.
Yeah.
That's powerful. What makes this project so special?
Well, they've gone above and beyond just the basic necessities, you know?
Yeah.
The homes are beautifully designed with courtyards and shared gardens and even a community center.
Wow.
And they've incorporated passive cooling techniques and rainwater harvesting to make the community environmentally sustainable.
So it sounds like they're addressing not just the physical needs of housing,
Right.
but also the social and emotional needs of the residents.
Absolutely.
Are there any lessons we can learn from this project
I think so.
that could be applied more broadly?
Scythe has shown that container homes can be more than just a practical solution. They can be a catalyst for community building and social upliftment. And they've demonstrated the importance of involving residents in that design process
Right.
to make sure that the homes meet their specific needs and cultural preferences.
That participatory design approach seems crucial.
It is.
It's not just about handing over keys.
Oh.
It's about empowering people to shape their own living spaces.
Yeah.
Are there other examples of container communities in India that are making a difference?
There's a fascinating project in Goa called the Container Project.
The Container Project?
It's a collection of artist studios and workshops built entirely from repurposed containers.
Cool.
And they've created this incredible hub for creativity and collaboration, nestled amidst this lush greenery.
So container homes aren't just for residential use.
Yeah.
They can be adapted for all sorts of purposes.
Exactly.
What's the secret to their versatility?
Their modularity.
Okay.
You can stack them, connect them, configure them in countless ways.
Oh, wow.
To create spaces that meet a wide range of needs, we're seeing container classrooms, pop-up shops, even mobile clinics popping up all over India.
It's like a giant Lego set for grown-ups.
It is.
But as with any innovative solution, there are bound to be skeptics.
Of course.
What are some of the common misconceptions about container homes that need to be addressed?
One of the biggest is that they're only suitable for temporary use.
Okay.
People associate them with construction site offices or emergency shelters. But as we've seen, they can be incredibly durable, comfortable, and aesthetically pleasing, perfectly suitable for long-term living.
Right. It's about challenging those preconceived notions.
It is.
And what about the cost factor?
Yeah.
Are container homes truly as affordable as they're often made out to be?
Well, the initial construction cost is generally lower than traditional methods,
Okay.
especially when you factor in the speed of construction. But as we discussed earlier, land acquisition and financing can still be significant hurdles.
So it's not a magic bullet solution, but it's definitely a compelling piece of the puzzle.
I think so.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious to get your take on the future of container homes in India.
Uh-huh.
Are we at a tipping point?
I think we're on the cusp of something truly transformative.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
the housing crisis, the growing awareness of sustainability,
Yeah.
and the incredible innovation happening in the container home sector all point to a bright future.
It feels like there's a real groundswell of momentum building. What needs to happen to ensure that this movement reaches its full potential?
Collaboration is key. We need architects, engineers, policymakers, community leaders
Yeah.
working together to create a supportive ecosystem for container home projects. We need to continue pushing the boundaries of design
Absolutely.
and finding ways to seamlessly integrate these homes into the existing urban fabric.
Mm.
And we need to keep sharing these success stories, inspiring others to embrace this innovative approach to housing.
It's about building not just homes, but a movement.
Yeah.
A movement towards a more sustainable, affordable, and inclusive future for housing in India. It's been incredible exploring this topic with you.
It has been.
And I encourage our listeners to continue learning and engaging with this fascinating and evolving world of container homes. Who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to create a container home of your own someday.